Welcome. As you can see, you're upside down. You're staring at my vise. So what we're going to tie is a woolly bugger. And I'm going to try and tie this as quickly as I can and as easily and efficiently as I can so you can see it. So what we have here is I have a number 8 hook in my vise. I have already put the bead head on it. You can see it there. It's in the vise. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to attach my lead wire to the hook. And simply, you're going to make a hook on the lead wire like so, one loop, and then we're going to take this and we're just going to do fairly tight wraps, whoops, or break it, and then wrap it around. These flies don't have to be that pretty. The nice thing about the woolly bugger is you can use it like a streamer, like it's a wounded minnow or a bait fish, something like that. You can strip it, kind of tug it through the water to give it a little bit of life. Move it back and forth. So next I'm going to apply my thread. I'm just going to use some black Danville, I think this is 6/0, lightly waxed. And I'm going to come in like so, and then kind of push my thread up, or my wrap up against that thread there. And I'm going to pull the tab of my thread across the body of that lead wrap, and it kind of helps tie in that lead wire. And then I'm going to get to the back. I'm going to build a good dam, and then we're going to cut off our tag end. If you can see it, I don't know. Tag end is cut. So now I don't want that lead wrap to move too much. So we're going to do some really tight wraps around that lead. We're going to capture it in, pinch it down, build a little head in front of it. And we're going to come back really tight, tightly wound. And then we're going to build a good dam right here behind it to keep it from moving. And then maybe one more time up to the front, and then one more time to the back. Now I can go all the way to the back. Try not to hit the hook point, because you will nick your thread. So now I'm at the back of the hook, if you can see it. So the tail of a woolly bugger is made of marabou, and that's what you see right here. I'll get one out. And what's neat about these, again, they don't need to be perfect, but you do want it to look kind of nice. Let me find a good marabou here. What the marabou does is it gives it some good motion in the water. Adds motion to the fly. So, like this here. That is going to be my tail. So to get that in there, we usually want to go about half a length of the hook, like a hook body, right, like that. So we're going to pinch it like so. Take it with our other hand. We kind of like that tail. We're going to take it and we're going to get a good pinch on the tail. We're going to do a wrap around it, maybe twice, kind of hold it in place. Now right here you can judge it. You can see what it looks like to the body. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back with the wrap, come back with the wrap, and that's going to bring my tail more closer to the bend of the hook. And then I'm going to come in like this. I'm going to give the rest of the feather a little bit of a twist, come across, and then come across, pull that nice and tight, and then a good wrap, coming up like so. And we're going to take this, give it a nice twirl. So you see I have a nice bundle of feather. Give that a cut, hold on to everything, and that fills in the gap between that lead wrap right there. It fills that in, so now it's almost an even piece. Don't worry about that fluff. Now, here's where I want to tie in my brass wire. Now the brass wire is going to act as two things. It's a rib to give the body a little bit of color, and it also holds down a feather that we're going to tie in. And you got to be really careful with this brass wire. If you're not holding on to it when you cut it, it will unspool itself, and it's not pretty. You end up with a ball of brass wire. Speaking from experience, it's not cool. So we're going to put that thread back. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take our wire. It's kind of hard to see. We're going to catch that in right here. Whoops, kind of catch it, wrap it to the back, and then we're going to come in and we're going to pull that, do a good wrap on that wire, give it a little tug, just make sure it's tight, and we're going to put that in our material holder here. Now we get down to here, if you really want to keep that in, I can find the end of that brass and give it a little bend it backwards, and then wrap around that hook. Now that will not pull out, as you can see. Okay, then we're going to come back. Now you're not going to make too many lumps in this, because there we go. Bring it back. So now we have a nice straight body. Our wire is being held by the material keeper. Up next is we need a hackle feather. Actually, we're going to do our chenille first. Okay, so I'm using a variegated chenille. It's a barred material. As you notice, it is black and green. I really like this color. It gives a little bit more to being just green. So now we have our piece of chenille. Inside the chenille is a core. The core has it's two pieces of twisted cotton. So what we're going to do is we're going to pluck that. Now you should see a little white tip there. We're going to catch that in. Sometimes it wants to be a little goofy. Catch that in. And you want to take that all the way back to that marabou. And then I've got some marabou caught, and take that string. Well, let's get a better. You want to get that whole string buried in there, because you don't want it to pull out. There we go. And then we'll catch that in. Now there's two ways to do this. I could tie in my hackle feather at the tip, or I could come in from the head, which is what I'm used to doing. So now I'm going to take this marabou all the way up to the front here, and I'm going to take one full wrap right here at the back to start the bend, the body of the woolly bugger. Doesn't really matter how the lines show up. Now if you see it, you start seeing little black spots and green spots and black spots and green spots. That is separating. So I'm trying not to do over wraps. I'm just doing very, very tight wraps for the body, coming all the way up. Now I left a little space right here between that lead wrap and the bead. And what that does is it gives me room to tie in, catch it. I'm doing a little cross wrap. So now I have the tab, if you can see that. I'm gonna cut that off. I'm gonna turn this up so I don't cut my thread. Move my hand out of the way. All right, so we're good there. Now, your hackle feather, your saddle hackle. These are the wing type feathers that you often see on a bird. So now I need a hackle feather that will make a good body for this fly, but not too enormous that it's going to be, and it really, I mean, they really can't be too big, I guess. They could be too small. Okay, this one's perfect. So here's my hackle feather. Now I don't need the whole thing, which is kind of a waste. I only need about a third of it. So I'm gonna pull it back to right about here, separate it like so, like that. And I'm gonna pull a couple of these feathers off, these spines, and then I'm going to place this alongside of it, the bare part of the hook. I'm going to capture it right behind that bead head, but I want it off to the side, kind of at an angle. So gotta get that in there nice and tight. Nice and tight. There it goes. And then come in front of it maybe. There you go, lock it in place. Now what I can do is temporarily just cut that off. Don't worry about this sprig sticking out. I'm gonna use a little thing called a Hackle Plier. And the Hackle Plier has a little pincher, and it grabs the spine of the feather and allows me to go like this. I'm gonna do a nice tight wrap on the front. There we go. Keeping equal pressure as much as I can. Doing another wrap. Doing another wrap. Trying to keep those splines as straight as possible. This is called palmering. I'm palmering the hackle. I'm wrapping it around the body of the woolly bugger. Now when I get to here, I need to stop. This is where the wire comes in. I'm going to come in and I'm going to come to the back side, catch my hackle that's being held by my plier, and then I'm going to weave it through, trying not to catch too many of those feathers, those little spines, weaving it through, keeping it tight, weaving it through, just like that, weaving it through. I just keep doing that until I get up to the head of the fly. All the way up. There we go. Probably about 2 more wraps. 1, and then 2. So I'm going to come behind that little stem piece, probably do a wrap like that, and then bring it behind the head, then take my thread, and I'm going to do a crisscross, bring the thread behind the brass and then in front of the brass wire and then in front. Now I've got the thread wrapped around that brass wire, so I can let go of it now. See, it's not going anywhere. So now I'm going to bring this over. I'm going to cut the end of my hackle, the tip section, off. I can cut my brass wire off and reach up in here and cut that stem like so. Now I'm going to pull all this back using my thumb and index finger, and I'm going to come in here really tight, bind all that down. Try not to catch. If you get any fibers caught, you can cut them off. And then we get our whip finish tool, which is this right here. Catch our thread. Whoops. Capture our thread. I don't know if you can see this, but we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pull. Then I unhooked it from the back of here. I have it captured here using that hook. Bring it in. Let's wind up our thread a little bit. Now I'm going to give this a good solid tug. You may feel it slip, but it's not coming undone. So we'll bring our scissors in, cut, and look at there. That is one woolly bugger fly. That one is ready to go, just like that. So one of the best flies to learn to tie as a fly fisherman. Okay, thank you very much.